What is happening, everyone? Welcome back to the show. We've been going almost every other day here, or almost every day, I meant to say. So much cool stuff going on. So a lot of good stuff going on in the community. Uh, that's why, again, we had to do, so usually I only do community streams once a month or once every couple months or so. But I don't know, I've been doing a couple more recently. Just so many things, so many projects and stuff launching in the community. And new people even today. We got a new gentleman who'll be joining us this new content creation and his first live streams, which I didn't even realize. That's pretty awesome as well. So love to interact. Love to let people show what they're working on in the community and all that good stuff. So the StreamYard link's in the chat. If anybody wants to, we got two different. Let's see, we got three on today as of now. Hopefully one will come back here in a second. And then, yeah, we got slots for one or two more. I sent a couple invites out as well. It's peeps. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, should be a fun stream. Get your questions in. We'll go for about an hour or so. And excited to get into it. So without further ado, we'll get chat in just a minute. Welcome back to the show, Dave. And for the first time, Haunted. How's it going?
I'm at Hawaii.
You're doing great. Thank you for having us on. Appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Of course. I think we lost Tails for a minute. Hopefully he'll come back in a minute here. Hopefully he realizes that it dropped or otherwise. But yeah, no worries. We'll get into it. Where do you want to start off? Do you want to? I think it maybe give like an intro to kind of the Up ecosystem or however y'all call it, and then you got some stuff to share demo wise a little bit later as well.
Yeah, so Up and UpX, we started the Up token way before PulseChain even launched. That we launched the Up token, so people have freedom to do whatever they want with their money. And then we said once it copies over to PulseChain, we just use the copied over tokens and continue from there. So Up token's been around for a very, very long time, longer than Pulse itself. And then people love the concept of Up token, and we were requested can we have another one? And the way that the Up token is built, if there was another a token, it just means bigger vaults, bigger buy and burns, and it just bundle the liquidity and they go up together. And so we said, yeah, why not? We'll just make another one. More people started looking at Up token because of it, and then UpX. UpX is doing really well, and now we've got the two tokens, and we're building products for PulseChain for people to use. We've built smart vaults for liquid loans. We've built, we're building Validator X so people can become validators, liquid staking. That's what we're going to be talking about today. And we've got many more things to come as well in the future.
And Haunted's being a little, modest, I guess, because he came up with this whole strategy. It's like, let's have a SAC, and instead of giving it to the founders, let's take all of this money, build a huge treasury, and then just figure out how to bring more money back to the community so that we can buy and burn Up token and UpX. So, he was the first one over the bridge when PulseChain opened. And in fact, you've seen there's a PulseX version 2 now, and that's because of Haunted and our team. We found out that the V1 were not paying the fees because we had all this DAI over here on the chain when it opened, and thinking, oh man, we're making a lot of money from the liquidity fees. And looking at the numbers, it's like, wait, we brought all this treasury over here and it's not making any yields. And so we discovered the V1, I don't want to call it a flaw, but the code catch. And so now we have V2. But yeah, we've been here since the beginning, and the treasury now has 50 billion Pulse in it, 819 validators. So that, he brought a treasury over here with some, funds, and it's just growing and growing. And then we're building protocols so that we can take some of that, some of that yield that we're making from validators, some of the protocol fees that we use for some of the things we built, and bring those back to buy and burn Up and UpX.
Yeah, so I saw a question there. What's the concept? And the concept is you have a token where you have benevolent wallets that will come and buy and burn the token, right? So, we had the tokens are just a send and receive token with a burn function, very simple, and then people can build on top of it where it can people can just buy and burn. So, we've built a few things that create buy and burn, and we have like LPX that's doing a buy and burn. We have the BW and BWX, so benevolent wallet for Up and UpX. they're both validators, so they both have their own validating, and 40% of the yield that it makes goes to buying and burning the token. So the concept is try to buy and burn as much as we can, and grow bigger and bigger as the future comes along.
And that's how we ended up with that's how we ended up with Validator X. We took all of our Pulse, so we're over here mining, and we're getting yield, and we're stacking more. We started out with 805 validators. We're now at 819, and this was about 2.5 months ago. And our devs said, hey, you know what? What if we offer this validating idea to the public? And it's like, sure. And then so he built this thing, and we're going to produce, and we'll show you here in a minute. It's single click access to validating. One click and a confirmation, you're now part of the validator. There's no minimums. There's no lockup fees. There's no deposit fees, no withdrawal fees. I mean, you want to deposit one Pulse? We had somebody actually do that. They deposited one Pulse just to test to see if we weren't lying, I guess. They paid $100 or $200 in gas fee to deposit one Pulse in a validator. Didn't make a lot of sense, but hey, we're telling the truth. There's no minimums. And when you withdraw, you get your Pulse back plus the yield. It's a simple game. And our devs have been doing this on 10, 12 chains for quite some time. And
chains, so 30 in total.
So yeah, single click.
Yeah. So
go ahead.
Yeah, the validators on the benevolent wallets are currently making 15% APR. And that's because it's probably been chosen to build the actual block because of the size of the amount of validating it's doing. So we're hoping that we can grow Validator X in terms of size, so that way we can try to get as much yield as possible. We have the lowest fees on PulseChain, one click, very simple to use, and it has a cool down period of withdrawal for 2 days. So once you put your Pulse in, just wait 2 days and then you'll get your PLS.
Yeah, it's a liquid staking token. So when you stake your Pulse, now it's making 10, 12%, whatever it might be from the validator. And then you still have that, so that hopefully in the future you can pair that up with liquidity, or maybe even take a loan against your UPulse. So you got your Pulse working for you. It's earning you yield, and yet you still have that asset in your hand to go borrow against. That's our hope. That's what we're planning.
Yeah, no, I've heard there's some different liquid staking in the community. I think there's Project Pi has a platform as well. A few other ones. Are they all kind of around the same method? Like you have this like staked token that's you swap for other ones stuff, or how does it? Maybe you want to get into that, some of that, maybe a little bit of technicals.
So what you do is you just go to the front end, you put your Pulse, put the amount of Pulse that you want to put in. Dave will show us how to do that as well. And then you just put the amount in and hit confirm, and then 2 days later you'll have your UPLS. I know that Vouch works very similar to ours as well, but the Pi one, I think there's some sort of game theory behind it. I haven't looked into it exactly. We've already surpassed them in the first 24 hours of how much Pulse has been put into Validator X. We have well over 4.5 billion. I have to double check. That was when I went to sleep last night, so it's probably more now.
Yeah, I'll take over real quick on it. Yeah, we don't want to compare. There's room for everybody in this space. I mean, we're not out here to try to compete with Vouch or Project Pi. They have their system, and we wish them well. We want PulseChain to be strong, and the more validators we get out there, the better. And I think the other two protocols may have some kind of a minimum, or maybe they don't have a minimum, but you I think one of them has to have a 16 million, and then you can come in. Ours, one Pulse, and you're in the validator pool. And I think, hopefully they're very successful. We want everybody to win in PulseChain. That's what we want to see happen. But we're just offering another product, with more products on the market, it just helps the consumer on PulseChain. That's what we're after.
And you said there was a 2-day waiting period? You want to maybe talk about the waiting period, and then
if you share the window real quick that I have up there, we'll run you through this real quick and show you how quick and easy this is. So this is our landing page for the Up ecosystem. And so Haunted was talking about some of the products we built, and here's some of the products. When Liquid Loans those are two tokens, Up and UpX, and they have dashboards. You can go look and see how they're performing. Well, we have a loan alarm bot, which we built for Liquid Loans, so that you could get notified if your vault's in trouble of redemption or liquidation. We also have smart vaults built on top of Liquid Loans, so that you could, if you want to go in there and take a loan and you want a $100 loan, you can come over here and Smart Vaults does that. Whereas Liquid Loans, you have that $2,000 minimum. We built Smart Vaults on top of there so that you can come over here and get a $200, $100 loan if you want, but don't pay the gas fee for a $1 loan. That doesn't make any sense. We have LPX, which is running, which is it's a form of I don't want to say it's a liquidity pool because it's more of an automated market maker. It's one of the well games that now we're hoping to give everybody access to this. And then here's the new one, Validator X. This is what we have. So you go into our app. It's this simple. You'll connect the wallet. Hopefully it already connected. I don't know. Or no, you know what? Here, this tab's already connected. No, I didn't. Doggone it. Was it this one? No, it's this one. Sorry. I connected one. Oh, well, I'll connect again. Hopefully it doesn't take long. Connecting a wallet takes long, but then it's single one click. You're going to be able to stake and it's one click and you're done. Connect wallet. Okay. Refresh. Hit refresh here. See if we got it in. You know how this stuff works. I tried to load the wallet up here a second ago ahead of time, and let me go over here and see what MetaMask is saying.
Demos are always meant to fail. Don't worry.
Yeah. Say it's just crazy. We want account 2 in here, not account 1. Update, connect. Here we go. We're connected, and so this is our front end, and all I'm going to do is type in, and we have a slider bar. If you want to use a slider bar, you can use your slider bar, but just to say I want to put in 1 million Pulse. I hit stake and it's going to be done. I'll hit stake here in a sec. Well, I'll hit stake now. You can see what it works. So we hit stake, confirm, and you're at this point, you're part of the validator class. I do want this to go fast, so I'm going to go hit aggressive. We did this with Crispy and we ended up waiting more than the 3 seconds. It's like, wait a minute. PulseChain is supposed to be fast, right? Fast and cheap. But yeah, sometimes it doesn't go as quick as you want it to go. But yeah, that's it. You single click and you're a validator. Your money's in there. Okay. Transaction confirmed. And here's what Content was talking about, the cooldown period. Now you'll notice that I don't get 1 million UPulse. Yesterday it was 1 million. They were 1-to-1. But today, because the validators that are in there are already making yield, see the rate right here? 1 UPulse is already worth 1.0013. That the yield just keeps stacking in on your UPulse. So almost 1 million UPulse I have, I will be able to move those to my wallet. And if I want to put them in a hardware wallet or move them somewhere else, I can move the UPulse. But that's the receipt for staking. And then these just keep growing in value. These will keep growing in value. And when I redeem them, I will get, this and the way the PulseChain works is the validation yield gets distributed every 8 hours. So if we hit this little plus sign right here, you see we have 149 validators already. And so in 8 hours or whenever the time frame is, I don't know when the last payout was. I'd have to go back and look at some of the contract addresses. But every 8 hours they send us our fees, and then that changes the amount of pulse you get for each one of those UPulses.
Yeah, click on the right. Click on the right part, and you'll just the number will just open up a little bit wider. Dave,
click on what? Where do you want me to click?
Up higher, just on the right. Click on the right. The 1.00.
Oh, sorry. I just screwed that up somewhere. Hold on. Let me find it again. Here we go. The right side. Where do you want me to click?
No,
click
right. The right.
The rate. Oh, the rate. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's a full number.
Oh, okay. You're expanding the decimals. Yeah, our dev hid some of these decimals. When we did our test, on the test net, people were complaining there's too damn many decimals. So you have to click on them to see all the decimals now, I guess, if you want to see all the decimals in there.
All the nines. Nice.
Yeah, you want to see them all, you can.
How does it? So you see validated 149.
Yes, sir.
How does even putting like 1 pulse in? That's what I'm curious about. Like, how does it?
Let me jump over here. Yeah. Okay, so here are the people this is the contract. So somebody 26 minutes ago added 200 million pulse to our platform. And you can see, and that was at 26 1 second, at 25:31. So it took our smart contract 30 seconds to say, hey, we have enough to send 32 more million. And they created what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more validators. So, every time you add and we get to enough to send another 32 over, we create another validator. And so as these stack up, because you'll see somebody deposited 10,000 pulse here, and then somebody 7 million. And then as soon as we get enough to create more validators, boom, they go into existence and they join the validator pool. Does that answer your question? I hope.
Gotcha. Okay. So automatically, so once it gets to 32 million again, it'll be like, okay, we're going to create
minus this. You'll see this instant withdrawal right here. This is the pulse that's sitting back waiting, because if somebody wants to come in and withdraw, and let's say I wanted to withdraw, 3 days later, somebody, whoever deposited, 50 million pulse, they want to come in here. It's like, well, 50 million pulse is enough to run a validator. We actually have to go close a validator in order to get you your pulse back. So then you're going to have to wait. We're waiting on PulseChain. We're not waiting on us. We're waiting on PulseChain to close a validator, get us a pulse. We send it to you. But if you want to withdraw 10 million pulse right now, there's enough sitting in the instant withdrawal period that you could withdraw 10 million pulse. If that's what you wanted to cash in 10 million U pulse because you want to go buy some new shiny object, you could take your pulse out and it'd be instant. But anything more than 46.9 right now, you would need to wait a process for PulseChain, the launchpad, to close out a couple validators, put it back, and so then you could withdraw it. And that's what's happening here with this cooldown period. These people, you're not able to go in and instantly put in and then pull out, because we don't want them gaming that payout. Because let's say that payout happens here in the next 30 minutes. PulseChain's going to send all the fees over to the validators. Well, we don't want somebody coming in, staking a bunch of pulse. 8 minutes later, the payout happens, so U-Pulse ticks up, and then they cash out and they run away with a bunch of free yield. That's what this cooldown period is about. If you want to join our system, you're going to be in the system. You're not going to game our system. The other protocols may not have that. That's one of the safety features our devs were looking at the code of the different various liquid staking projects to go, okay, there's a way to game this system. We're going to make sure they can't game ours.
The devs, sorry, I just wanted to add, the dev's been doing validating since 2017 for himself, and from his experience and looking around and the experience that he's had, that he thinks that this option here, which none of them have that I know, he thinks that this is a beneficial for the system. It's extra security. You just got to wait 2 days and you get your PLS back. He's chosen to put this in because he thinks it'll be best to protect the community, even that someone can arb a small amount. Why let them arb when we can leave that for the community that are using Validator X? So the only people who can extract value from the yield are the people who are actually staked.
Gotcha.
And this cooldown right here updates. It still says 2880. If I go over here at the in stream update, you'll see, okay, whatever that here. Where'd it go there? Doggone it. Let's go. I'm not sure what that one is. Let's hit this update then. And it updates it. The countdown does work. Parameter decoding error. Well, of course, you run this stuff yesterday flawlessly. Today we got something popping up, whatever the hell that was.
That's all right. Doing it live.
Yeah, doing it live. That's right. Let's see. Let's see if this thing works here. We'll do another transaction just to see what's going on. But yeah, the security is.
Your time goes back up, but I don't think you're not locked. So yeah, so if my one that I have 600 hours left to go to unstake mine.
Sure.
No, 600 minutes. 600 minutes.
Yeah, 600 minutes. I was going to ask on this while we're waiting for the transaction too. Can you just clarify why you would do pulled staking versus why use this platform versus just become a validator yourself outside? I know it's more work, set them up. Of course, I do a lot of validator stuff myself as well, but it's like, why is it more payout? Like, what is the advantage of having to pull?
One, you're not running your own computers. Some people aren't educated enough to. I'm savvy with computers, right? But I still have that fear of, running those script codes, trying to become a validator, and then you have these extra keys that you got to protect, a withdrawal address. There's a lot of. It's not as simple as one can put it. If someone knows what they're doing, it's simple. So it's just making it easier for someone who wants to become a validator but doesn't want to go through all those processes of getting a computer, backup battery, make sure your internet connection is smooth. So my internet connection at home isn't 100%. Sometimes it cuts out for unknown reasons, right? It doesn't work for like 10 minutes. So, come and use Validator X and you don't have that problem. It's just easier. Just one click and you're done and you become a validator. Number two is some people only have maybe 150 mil pulse or 100 mil pulse. 10 million Pulse, and they want to be part of the system, right? They love PulseChain, and they want to become a validator. It costs, spending $2,000 on a machine versus not spending that and becoming a validator. It's just simplicity. And if you look at
when PulseChain launched, I bought a computer and I started, I want to be part of the game. So I ran a validator on testnet. I have a validator going in my office. My yield in my office is about 10.7%. If you go to the Launchpad, that's what it says the yield is for validating. But because you have so many validators, I'm showing you the UpX page right here. We have 708 validators for UpX. And the yield over there is 15.8. Now, why does the computer in my office giving me 10.7, and by being part of a pool, you get 15.8? And that's because the way validation works is the validator that's chosen to make the block gets all the priority fees. The people that are attesting, the validators that are attesting, they just get the inflation from PulseChain. So they get a minor fee. So the more validators you have, the more blocks you actually get to build, and that's where the fees are. In fact, we have a story of one of our friends who is a validator, and in his office, he had a priority fee of 32 million. Somebody actually wanted to get their transaction through so fast they screwed up, and so that validator on that one block he did, he got a whole freaking 32 million. He got 100% return on his validator in one block. So the more blocks you get to build, the higher your yield's going to be. So over here on, you're looking at UpX, we're getting 15.8% for the 708 validators we have with UpX, whereas the one in my office is getting 10%. So being part of a pool, even though, and here's the fee structure for Validator X, we take 9% of the yield, 9% of the yield to cover the cost of the servers, the internet, everything else. So you get 91% of the yield. Well, my office is getting 10.7. I can tell you 91% of 15 is more than 10.7. I would actually, within the next few days, I'm going to go in there and shut down my validator and move it over here because I'm going to get better yield in Validator X than I do with the one in my office. Now, there's a different risk factor. You are trusting the code. You're trusting us. You're trusting our validators and their 10 years of experience with, building, validators on many chains. But I also don't have to worry about my internet going down, my computer going out. I got a power outage in the neighborhood. Okay, now I got to reboot it. I have to update the nodes. Being a private validator has its advantages and disadvantages. The advantage is the security. The disadvantage is the work. And that's the big difference between joining a pool and getting maybe a little bit better yield and the ease of use. Because it's super simple. One click, you're done. There's no fees in terms of withdrawal fees, deposit fees, lockup periods, none of that. And the yield's incredible. That's what we're looking at.
And number two is that you're liquid staking. So you then get a UPLS token, which you could then utilize in maybe making an extra yield as well. So, in the future, we're going to have LPX, and you might be able to use your UPLS through LPX and earn an additional yield. So that 15% might turn into 30%. And maybe one day you'll be able to borrow against your UPLS as well.
Yeah, and here's the UP token. It doesn't have a 708. It has 111 validators, but you can see the yield over here is actually 15.9. It's actually higher than the yield of the other one, and that's because maybe they got selected to build a few more blocks, or the block they built had a little bit more priority fees. So there's a huge advantage in having more blocks.
Gotcha. We'll go further on this. I want to make sure we get one other gentleman onto the show. He might have some questions as well. Welcome to the show for the first time, Tails.
How's it going, gentlemen?
Hey, mate.
Which one is it? Let me close that one out. It's not working.
Tells us, right. I was telling him in the green room as well that I'd from a tweet or retweet from Coffee that I saw that he was making some content. I search YouTube from time to time looking for people making Hex and PulseChain content and come across new people as well. But this one I found through X, and looked at this channel. And again, I think this is, correct me if I'm wrong, this is your first live stream.
Yes, this is my first live stream ever. So thanks for the invite.
Of course. We'll get we'll talk a little bit more about Validator X and such, and then we'll get into your story and whatever you want to discuss as well. But my first question, or my next question on this too, I imagine a lot of people are also thinking about it. And I think I saw they put up some stats on the audit and stuff like that. Security, that's a big question for new platforms like this. And also, is it new code or is it a fork from something? Just a couple pieces.
Okay, well, see, the question mark gives you all the docs. If you hit this question mark on our page, it'll take you to our docs. And wrong damn button. Let me. Sugar cubes. Good thing I'm not in charge of that. There you go. Here's our docs page. You can read through the documentation for our protocol. And down here at the bottom, if we start talking about risk of UPLS, you can click right here on the read audit here, and you can run through all of the audit information. And yeah, we've had, and let me get to the bottom where the summary's at on this thing, because that's the easiest way to talk about it. So here's the result of what we had. It's a secure, audited, production grade protocol. Its architecture exceeds industry standards, decentralized staking system, mathematically verifiable, immutable code contracts for the UPulse contract, fail safe, 5 of 5, confirmed safety audit 0. I mean, but again, with all code, we're not going to sit here, even though we've got all of this audit information and all the security information, and tell you that everything in PulseChain safe. I mean, I went through Ethereum the other day. I got on ChatGPT and said, hey, how many inflation bugs has Ethereum had? And how many eyes are on that code? And yet they've still had their issues, and Bitcoin's had it. So nothing's 100% guaranteed. So that's where we were talking earlier about the risk factors. Doing one in your office, you're trusting the code of PulseChain. When you join one of these liquid staking protocols, you're not only, you add an extra layer of risk, because now you're also trusting us or Project Pi or Vouch. And this is original code. It is not a copy and paste of some other system. Our validators looked at all of the liquid staking protocols on all of the different chains. They looked at them. They took AI. They grabbed pieces of it and they audited. I mean, they looked at what they liked, what they didn't like, what doesn't need to be there, and they created Validator X.
Yeah, so the devs basically went and looked at many protocols, and then they ran simulations and seeing what works best, and then learned as much as they can with all the different other protocols out there, and then they came to their own build and built Validator X. So the devs actually built the code. They know the code. It's not just no hate on anyone that copies and pastes, right? That you're copying and pasting in something that may work, but they built the code specifically for PulseChain. So it's built, and it's built from the ground up.
Gotcha. Okay. And are the audits public? Is there
Yes.
docs people can look at?
Yeah, so they just showed you how to get to the audits. You hit the question mark at the top, scroll down and hit audits, and then you're on the page of the audit there.
Yes, okay. User calls, withdrawal pending, and I don't read audits myself. I have a degree in mathematics, not coding, but yeah, there's.
Can you drop the link in the chat? And I'll just share it with them too.
Yeah,
all the links are okay. And then again, this question mark right here takes you to all the documentation pages.
Awesome. Just looking for questions too in the chat. I think you answered a couple. There was a couple, but it's more around. Does more validators mean more yield? All that. I think you went over that piece.
Yeah, we've kind of focused on 3 things: the ease of use, single click access, number 1. Number 2, best rate you're going to get on PulseChain, or probably any chain with liquid staking. And number 3, no fees or no lockups. No, we're not. We do have a 9% of the yield does go to pay for the servers and the backup, machines in the cloud and all of the stuff that we got going on there. But 91% of the yield goes to you, and we actually compound. So the people that put their pulse in here, let's say you have, you're you have 1 million pulse, like I staked a minute ago, you're never going to build an entire validator, because the yield's 15%, 10%, 12%. Let's say it's 10%. It's going to take you 7.2 years to double your money in validation if you start off with 1 million. Like the one in my office, I have 32 million pulse in there. 10%, it's going to take me 7.2 years before I can build validator number 2 off of that yield. However, in a system like this, the yield I get starts compounding. It joins other people, so that yield's compounding sooner. So with the compounding effect that we have, your actual yield, you're not getting 91% of the yield. You're actually getting closer to like 96% of the yield through compounding.
If you refresh the page, Dave, someone's put some pulse in there, and you see that the number's gone from 149 to 150. So it goes in instantly.
Let's see what happens. It's not
talk a little bit about the mechanics of the token itself too. Like, is it purely created from the Pulse? There's no other way to do it other than putting Pulse in to get
so the only way you can mint UPLS is by adding Pulse to the smart contract through validator X, and the only way you can extract Pulse is by using your UPLS to extract the Pulse. No, there's no other way. So no one can come in with any other token, or no one can go into the contract and then extract.
It's an immutable. That part of the contract is immutable. It can't be changed. It's one way in, one way out. And what our devs found is some of the other liquid staking protocols, they copied and forked a code that had a burn function in there, so somebody could actually burn their liquid staking token within the contract. They removed that. We're not going to allow any of our users to have any mistakes and accidentally burn their UPLS and send it. You have to. You bring your UPLS in, you'll get your Pulse back.
Yeah.
The interesting piece there too, because anyone who has UPLS can just go get Pulse. It's kind of like, how do you expect the values to fluctuate there? Because it's kind of like, hey, here's a place to get Pulse if you have this other token.
Sorry,
we don't. We don't expect a lot. I mean, the price of UPLS is going to increase as the staking rewards keep getting compounded in here. So this is going to go from 1.3013 in 8 hours. We get a payout, and that's going to become 1.30, 15. I mean, I don't know what the payout is and but this number changes. So every payout, every 8 hours, the value of UPLS is going to go up based on the yield.
Well, there's so there's two values there, right? There's the market value, and then there's the value that's you can get from the contract here. So there is, maybe talk about arbitrage a little bit. Have you all thought about that?
Yeah. So some people, if they wanted to arbitrage, they go look at the LP pairs and go to like PulseX, for example, or use PDS or whatever you want to use, and then see what you can get for your 1 million Pulse that you wanted to stake through validator X, and say, okay, I can actually get more if I buy it off the market. Or if you want to buy more and then go claim your Pulse back if you wanted to. So there will be an arbitrage there if you wanted to do the arbitrage. People are free to do what they want, but and the rate. So the rate is where Dave's got the thing that that's the rate for Pulse per Pulse to get 1 UPLS. So you can calculate through that rate to see if you're actually going to get more Pulse with your UPLS versus buying it off the market and do the arbitrage there.
Yeah, you can see I've already made 100 Pulse. Pretty nice.
I'm just thinking too, if the UPLS price on the market, if there was a dip or otherwise, if there was a way to scoop that up, could that affect?
Well, because the redemption
contract. Yeah,
because the redemption's right here, you're not going to see a lot of arbitrage opportunity. In fact, Vouch has their liquid staking token. I think they had $4 in volume over the last 24 hours. I mean, I can't imagine too many people taking UPulse to the market and trying to trade it, or any liquid staking token. You just come back here and get it, get your Pulse back. I do see the advantage when we're allowed to borrow against UPulse. So now I got $1 million. Yeah, that would be a big deal.
So this is an example where you see Dave, that you literally on this stream, Dave staked that Pulse there, and he's going to get back 1,100,000. Now, if we didn't have that 2-day lockup period, someone could have extracted some value because the payout just happened. So Dave, perfect example, was like, well, this wasn't intended, but it's the perfect example of why we have that 2-day lockup period. Dave has just staked the million Pulse, and now he's returning 1,100,000. So that's the reason why we have that there. Some people the reason why I keep bringing that up is because a lot of people ask, why do we have that? Why do we have that? And Dave has just showed the perfect example of why we have that.
Yeah, well,
if we didn't have that lockup period, Dave could have just pulled that million Pulse and made that a little bit extra. And if you know how arbitrage bots work and how some of these bots out there work, they would sometimes spend thousands of dollars just to make a penny. They don't care. As long as there's a profit, they'll do that arbitrage. And people have told me they've seen tens of thousands of dollars was spent through arbitrage just to make $1. They'll do it. It's as long as there's a profit. It's the computer's just calculating, and if there's a profit, it will do that transaction. So that's another safety mechanism that we have, and that's the reason why the dev has put that in.
Yeah, I want to go back to this lending function that we're getting, because we're actually building LoanX. So you will be able to get, I don't want to say you will. It is hypothesized that you will be able to borrow against UPLS. So I had 1 million Pulse I started with. And when I take that UPLS and I go put it in a lending protocol, the collateral is increasing in value. It's now 1,100,000. It's worth 1,100,000. So my UPulse, which I'm using as collateral, is actually gaining value, and I'm borrowing against. So when you start talking about redemption issues and liquidation issues, well, if your asset's going up in value, it's going to be really tough to go under market value. Now, it is tied to the price of Pulse. So, I mean, if Pulse drops, then despite the fact that I got more Pulse in there, is kind of tied together. But it's even a better lending protocol because the asset is growing in value.
Interesting. Tell any questions or comments or anything?
Yeah.
Not really so far. I'm just trying to, because I missed the beginning, so I'm just trying to hear what you guys are saying about it.
Yeah.
So actually one question I did have, does it compound by itself, or do you have to re-add it back to the stake?
No, it compounds itself, so it's auto compound.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So you can set and forget this. You can literally come, stake your Pulse, forget it, come back years later, and you'll have more Pulse. You have the 2-day cool-off period. You don't even have to touch that, right? So the Pulse won't even hit your wallet. So if someone looks into your wallet, they can see 0 Pulse in your wallet or whatever, how much Pulse you had left, and leave it in the withdrawal contract for years to come, and then finally pull it out. So people can do that as well.
Yeah, you see this when we started, it was like 47 million instant withdrawal. I can't remember what the number, maybe it's 49 million instant withdrawal. And so I wanted to go over here and see if somebody had taken some out. And you'll see what happened here is, no, they didn't take any out. After them last 6, we had more people added more, and that was enough to go generate another. And plus the yield we got, it's like, boom, there's enough to generate another validator. So the system, it takes care of itself. It's all automated.
Nice.
You literally can set and forget, come back years later, and extract more Pulse. Why have your Pulse sitting there and doing nothing, right? You could have, a couple of billion Pulse. And, if you were a validator from the beginning of PulseChain launch, if you had 1 billion Pulse, you probably have 1.3 billion Pulse. And you've just missed out on that, because the yield was a lot higher in the first 2 years. You've just missed out on that 30% gain because you weren't a validator. Now we've simplified it for everyone to come and become a validator. So that way, in the next 2 years, let's say the yield is 10%. If you had 1 billion Pulse, you'll come back to 1.2. While someone who did nothing is just still going to have that 1 billion Pulse.
Yeah,
there's some interesting advantages to the liquid staking system for sure. Being a validator, since the start, it's the nerd in me loves the tech side and doing it and setting it up and all that stuff too. But yeah, the liquid staking and the platforms like this are interesting.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So how much yield have you made in the last 2 years? Out of curiosity, do you know?
I don't. I literally sit and forget mine. Like people ask me, how often do you check your validator? I'm like, not very often because I'm not doing it at home, doing it cloud based, so it's much more reliable in that way. So I don't have a number off the top of my head. But did you have a point for like the different pieces though?
Sorry,
did you have a point for like how like a comparison?
Oh yeah, no. I just wanted to show that hey, look, you've been a validator and you've made X amount in the last 2 years. And that's the reason why some people do it for the yield. Some people do it because they want to help the system, which is the reason why most people should be doing it. But there's also that benefit, that added bonus, the yield that you can get before being a validator.
Yeah,
I think
on the PLS price. Just one more point I want to make on this. So the PLS price not being 100x from where it is, and if you're running 10 versus 50 versus 100 and more, of course, the ROI versus your utility costs versus your cloud hosting versus whatever costs and stuff like that, it's going to be different. But it is definitely either the profit for the last couple of years has not been in PLS terms. Yeah, it's been fine, but USD, of course, the price hasn't been that like, oh wow, this is like making bank type of thing, unless you're running 50 or 100 different validators. But go ahead, Dave.
I was going to say that like you said, the nerd in you wanted to set all that up. Yeah, but there's a lot of people out there that don't have 32 million, or they don't have the tech skills to do it. And it's like, we had these barriers to entry for this yield. And in crypto, well, in the traditional finance world, you have all these barriers to entry. You want to go and invest in something that's new. It's like, no, you need to be an accredited investor. You have to have $50,000 in the bank. You got to go through this, KYC idea. Well, the idea of PulseChain, it's the chain for the people. We're trying to remove all those barriers to entry. If there's a process out there that can generate wealth for you, we want you to have access to that. And we don't want to have a bunch of minimums or a bunch of fees. No barriers to entry. And that's what Smart Vaults was all about. No minimums, just come in there and borrow. And that's what Validator X is about. Anybody with 1,000 Pulse can come in here and earn a yield. Whereas that was impossible prior to liquid staking protocols.
But I want to onboard everyone to Linux in the world. It's the good fight to fight.
Yeah, it is a good operating system.
All right, we'll take if anyone has any questions in the chat, I definitely want to make sure Tels has some time to get.
Give Tels some time. I want to find out about this guy. He's new.
Yeah, Tels the tale. Tels, how'd you get in this crazy place?
I mean, I kind of have it started with politics, to be honest. My first time being able to vote, I didn't really know much, about the world. So I heard Obama talk, and, everything that came out of his mouth sounded good. So I ended up voting for him. And then fast forward 3 years later, I discovered Ron Paul. He's pretty libertarian. I was looking at all the Republican candidates, and I'm like, okay, well, I didn't like what Obama did. He didn't do anything he said he was going to do. So then I'm starting to learn. And I discovered Ron Paul, and through him, I started actually learning, because he taught people things. And then I discovered Bitcoin, probably 2012-ish. I didn't buy it. And I just, being in libertarian circles, I heard about Bitcoin. Then 2013 rolled around. I downloaded Coinbase on my phone. And I was sitting in my deer stand. It was pretty boring. I wasn't really seeing anything. So I started buying Bitcoin. I bought like $10 here and there. And then I only bought like $60 worth. I think the price was around 600 at the time. And then I completely forgot about crypto for like 4 years. Now you guys, how you guys talk about retail coming in when the price goes up. That was me. I seen Bitcoin at $6,000, and I was thinking to myself, I'm like, don't I have some of that? So I re-download Coin. I don't think I had Coinbase downloaded still. I go in there, my $60 was $600. I'm like, oh my God. Like, and then I didn't really jump into crypto too much yet. And I ended up cashing out, buying Christmas gifts, I think, around, because it ended up going way up to like that 20K top. And then fast forward to 2020, I was working a lot of overtime at my job, and I was like, I don't know, because pattern recognition is a thing. So like, because I heard about Bitcoin from 2012, 13-ish, and then I'm like, I know people make money in crypto. Like, I don't really know much about it. And then I jumped in, started looking up YouTube videos. Then I'm being introduced to things like Chainlink, Tezos, and that's some of the stuff I was seeing at the time in 2020. And then I know ICOs were a big thing in 2017. So I Googled them, like, because I was looking for new crypto projects. And then I don't know why HEX popped up. I did find HEX, and that was a very interesting period, because when I found HEX, the big payday was being advertised. So I'm jumping in. I'm trying to learn about HEX. And I discovered Richard, and I'm watching his streams. And then I'm doing a lot of research, because I was already invested in the things like Tezos. I didn't own any HEX yet. So with that, I was researching everything. So I kept seeing scam. Back then you seen all those, and when I see stuff like that, I like to dive in. I want to know why it's a scam. Like, you can't just say scam. You got to tell me why. You got to explain it to me. And I could not find any, like, some of it got in the back of my head, and I'm like, maybe I shouldn't put money in this. And then I just kept doing research. And when I listened to Richard, like, he just made so much sense. Like, back when I was like with Ron Paul, like, he made so much sense when I listened to him talk. So when I discovered Richard, I'm like, you know what? I took all my holdings out of Tezos at the time, and I just went all in HEX. I'm like, you know what? We're going to do this. And I've been a Hexican ever since. So So I got in probably just before big payday in October, and that's really, I just stay in this ecosystem. I don't really delve into anything else. So that's how I got into crypto.
Wow. From Tezos to Hex. I remember Tezos, XTZ. I remember took forever. I remember being in Panama and seeing like, oh, is crypto coming back now? Tezos has an update. Tezos, went to like whatever.
You remember that Tezos tell you Bezos or whatever? Tezos tell you Bezos, that saying?
Oh, is that the I wasn't into that. I was just like, oh man, this thing is supposed to, it's got the what was it? The big draw was what was it? The smart contracts were like what was the security feature? I forget what's like not verified, but what is that word that's like come on chat panelists, what is the word when it's like they can't, all the paths they're going to take, so there can't be any bugs.
The Byzantine generals.
Oh, this is a smart, it's like smart contract. Okay. They are, this is like a huge thing back in like 2019. And the smart contracts are like verified in a way that there can't be any bugs in them. And that was like Tezos' thing. It was like, oh my God, this is Ethereum killer because it has these types of smart contracts. There can never be these inflation bugs, or the contracts can't do all these weird things and fail because of this thing. It was like I had a product market fit, but it just took forever. And then the entity, it was like in Zurich or something, and then something happened there. Anyways, it was just like all this waiting, and then I don't know, maybe Tezos is doing fine now, but I remember back then it was like this huge thing. So anyways, there's your Tezos for the day.
I'm glad I got out of when I did.
Formal verification, formally verified. There we go. Formally verified smart contracts. That was their thing.
I think you only did a 2x from the price I left it. Meanwhile, Hex did a lot.
Tezos, it took so long, and we only got that. Yeah. Let that not be the Hex story again. This time around, let's not do a 2x. Let's do that, 200, 2,000, 20,000. Let's do that. Let's do that. Up into the X's. I like it. That's awesome, man. What got you into doing content again now? I heard it sounds like SJ got you a mic or something, which is awesome. I love this community for doing stuff.
How that came about was I wanted to see what kind of demand was for Hex content. So I kind of just threw up a post, like get 200 likes. I didn't know if I'd hit that or not. I was probably going to make content anyway because I wanted to, but I just kind of wanted to see, I like seeing when the community, seeing them get engaged, because, when they really get engaged, they get engaged. And I'm like, ended up a day later with 500 plus. I was like, holy crap. And then I was like, well, you guys hit the 200 likes. I guess I have to make content now, even though, like I said, I was probably going to anyway. And then I didn't really have much equipment. And I said, well, I'll probably start off with my phone. But then I ended up going to Walmart and buying a laptop that's capable of streaming. And then, SJ, she offered me, it was like, I have a mic I could gift you. And she ended up doing that. That was pretty nice of her. So that's how that started. And I dabbled into making videos before. I deleted pretty much any other crypto videos I had that's not PulseChain Hex related back then. I was into things like Theta was another coin I dabbled in back then. But yeah, I deleted all that, and I just want PulseChain Hex related content for the most part, or in the community anyway. So
it'd be fair to say you want PulseChain to win. You want Hex to win.
We definitely want it to win. I think we will too.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, that's the same. I mean, that's where our job is. We're basically a buy and burn for freaking Pulse, because we keep stacking this shit like it's candy, man. We're not giving it to anybody. We're 50 billion Pulse and growing, and we just want to keep taking Pulse off the market and use that Pulse to get a yield and bring it back to up and up X.
Yeah, so for the up ecosystem too, with validators, it's pretty clear to see like how, you can make a clear case of like, okay, more validators, good for PulseChain, stuff like that. Of course, take into context the, audits and contracts and all the risk and stuff like that, giving your Pulse to something else, let it do something for you, all that. But with the rest of the protocols and stuff too, again, Colin, when we first came on, he mentioned, Pulse, or the first product even launched before PulseChain launched, if I remember. How are these protocols good for PulseChain, just like for people who, like what is the case to make for that, just for people to give them some context?
So with Up and UpX, we've got vaults through liquid loans, and it buys Pulse off the market and puts it into the vaults. And that's one of the, so with Up and UpX, we rely on Pulse going up. It's like piggybacking off Pulse and the price of Pulse. And as the price goes up, it's able to take out the collateral value of the collateral goes up, and is able to take out more, another loan at 800% collateral, and then then go buy more Pulse off the market. So with Up and UpX, we're actually buying Pulse off the market. So the whole ecosystem and how it works, and the Benevolent Wallet and Benevolent Wallet X, they both buy Pulse off the market and stack it away in the vaults. So if Pulse is successful and he does 100x, we're happy, right? We'll be over the moon, because the way our infrastructure works, it's as the price goes up, we keep buying more Pulse and stacking it up, and our value keeps going up and up and up. So our buy and burns get bigger and bigger because of the success of Pulse.
Yeah, we have 26 billion in the validator system. We also have 16 billion in liquid loans. And as the price of Pulse, if it does a 10x, I mean, that's a lot of growth in value. We can borrow a lot more money. That money goes and buys additional. 62% of every loan goes to buying more Pulse. So, I mean, we're ripping Pulse off the market. And then we add it to our vaults. And then, a portion of the loans goes to buying and burning Up and UpX.
I had a question here from Crypto Steve. How secure is the PLS when it's been validated? In the context that you can think of that's being asked in.
Well, the only people that can extract PLS from Validator X is, if he's talking about, because it doesn't say Validator X, but I'm going to assume he is. The only way you can extract your Pulse from Validator X is if you have UPLS. So the only people that can mint UPLS are the people who put Pulse into the smart contract. No one else can mint it. No one else can withdraw your PLS from the contract.
Got a trivia question here too. It's been a while since I did trivia on the show, but I like this one. What is the first coin on PulseChain? Assuming not the core coins. I guess the question would be, what is the first project that launched on PulseChain after it launched? That's probably the context.
Depends on how you look at it. Like we launched Ethereum, Up launched on Ethereum. So once PulseChain launched, we're already there, and the liquidity pools were already there, and people can already buy and sell and utilize their tokens. So it depends on how that question is, but I don't know who was the first, let's say, native token on PulseChain. I have no clue.
Yeah, it's interesting. It makes me think of. I mean, it takes you back to all
most likely a scam token. Most likely a scam token.
Man, the first day or two. Yeah, let's riff on that for a minute. The first week of PulseChain launch, it was like, what is the correct DAI? What is there were all kinds of different pieces there. What was some of y'all's memories? Let's do that. Some of the memories.
Don't you remember the Zen? Didn't we have that whole freaking Zen blocking up the chain? So, I mean, nobody could bridge. And the chain. I mean, you had the freaking gas fees had to be ridiculous.
I remember gas fees went up a lot.
I remember putting in $26 into this scam token, just dabble, right? Put a little bit of, see what happens. And I forgot about it for 2 days. I came back to it and it was like $2,600. And I was like, oh, wow. So
Ink shooting up to $80+.
Yeah.
Ink had that meteoric rise. I remember being at the Pulse, was it in Miami? What was that? Was that PulseCon? I can't remember. One of those conferences. I was in Miami a couple years ago, and that's when it was like 2 or 3 weeks after PulseChain launched, and everyone's like, "Oh, we're all launched! It's so happy, top of the world." And then Ink is, oh my gosh, Ink keeps going up. That was crazy. Bridge got clogged. I think Tels mentioned the bridge. Bridge got massively clogged. It was the stampede of transactions. I guess maybe a follow up too.
Ink token went to 311K plus, 315K plus per Ink for Pulse price to Pulse. Now it's sitting at 35.
300. Yeah, it was 300,000 Pulse per Ink. I remember it ran up to something crazy like that.
Yeah.
You're saying it needs a, or is that 1,000x, 10,000x, one of those from where it used to be?
No, it needs a 10x
to get to where it used to be.
Yeah, it's ratio to pulse. It needs a 10x to get back to the top.
Oh, a 10x. Okay, I thought you said 3. Okay, gotcha.
I like looking at things the price of pulse because I want more pulse, right? That's my goal, right? Yeah. Some people want more dollars. They look at the price of $2. I look at the price of pulse because I want to accumulate as much pulse as I can. You know, I don't want to be in the ecosystem for 6 months or a year. I want to be in the ecosystem for 10 years.
Yeah, when we launched UpX, a year and a few months ago, you traded one pulse for one UpX. And today, I think it's at like one UpX gets you 4.5 pulse.
I'll have a look.
Yeah. So yeah, our UpX token has done extremely well. And again, 700 something validators, buy and burn coming back, and
4.35 at the moment.
Okay. Yeah.
Just to finish up on the pub question as well. One other piece. What would you have done differently? What each of you? What would you have done differently on launch that looking back that was obvious now?
On launch day?
No, prior, not SAC. Buy now.
I don't know. Not SAC buy now. Well,
yeah.
Well, it's on launch. So on launch, thinking more.
I would have put more in Up and UpX. I would have sacked more for Up token.
We know the UpX founders. We have the.
No, the reason why I'm saying that is we're up what 50. We're up like 12%. Sorry, 1,200%. So we've done a 10 plus X, 15 plus X. From sack rate, so Up has done a really good. I had to sacrifice myself for Up token. There was no team tokens for myself. I had to sacrifice myself. That's the reason why I'm saying that, right?
Well, outside of tokens, like, was there something? Because I mean, back then there was a lot of like, oh, is HEX going to get parity? Like, which one's going to be the winner? You know, there's all these ideas floating around. Like, yeah.
If I was going to sack right instead of sack, I should have sacked more HEX. Because my HEX that I sacked has a much better rate than holding it liquid, and now that you got 2 copies, you still can't buy back the same amount of pulse you would have made if you sacrificed your HEX.
Yeah,
not many people know that.
Interesting. Go ahead.
I bought too many I should have just stayed in the farms, but you're in a USDC pulse farm. And it's like, oh man, look at that 1,000% yield. That's crazy. It's like, Pulse is getting ready to run. Okay, cash out. Take all that USDC and go buy Pulse with it. I'm going to compound. I'm going to ride Pulse up. It's like, shit, I should have stayed in the farm. I didn't realize we were going to go sideways this long.
The first few months, the farms. I mean, hopefully they'll come back and be even a fraction of what the percentage that we were getting. That was amazing. Yeah. Tells anything that you were like, I wish I would have did that.
Yeah, there's a few things. I think I wish, looking back, I would have took a percentage of my PulseChain and swapped it into HEX. Another thing, I think I didn't with the farms. I should have probably just parked my money in there and just stayed put. I think that was a smart play. I'll say
a lot of people were afraid of the farms at first. I will say I'm looking around. I'm like, is everyone not seeing this 100%? Like, why is nobody doing this? And it was.
So I think there was an introduction for a lot of us. I think it was an introduction to yield farming for the very first time. So we did. I mean, a lot of us, we watched the content. And we've seen like a lot of you guys, Crypto Coffee, a lot of you guys went over yield farming. As PulseChain was in the testnet and stuff. So we've seen the content, but when it's live action now, it's like this is our actual real assets So I think there's some, wouldn't say skepticism. I think just, people, now that we've been out for almost 2 years, I think a lot more people are comfortable and they understand the impermanent loss and all that. So I think looking back, I would have probably just, I don't know what farms I would have put in, but I would have been more consistent with the farms, swapping PulseChain into HEX with a small percentage. And that was probably, or maybe buying ink and selling it at $80.
Yeah.
That would have been hindsight.
People would have liked to have bought it. I remember when it was just, maybe it was still in the cents and then maybe a few dollars. And I saw it go to like $10, $20. I'm like, what is going on? No, it just keeps going up. I didn't expect it. I didn't expect the ink to be the token to do, the 8 or 10x or whatever it did, or I don't know what the X's were. It was a lot. Versus I'm looking at Pulse and PulseX. So underestimating ink, especially in the beginning, was like something that I just didn't even think about, because ink was just this like unknown thing at the time too.
And I'm not like, as far as technical analyst goes, I'm not a big person that looks at, I like to look at fundamentals, but like, that's one thing I like about the RH ecosystem. Like, I could just find things to park my money in and walk away from. Like, I could make a HEX stake. Like, I don't have to trade. It just takes a lot of stress away. You know, I go live my, like, there's so many ways to make yield here. It's overwhelming almost. It's like everywhere you turn, you can put your money here. You know? So it's pretty cool that we have all these options.
Definitely love the community building and all that. Go ahead, Hon.
Sorry, next Charles, I have to jet to work.
Hey, you're right on time. You're right on time. We're jetting right now. What do you want to take us out on? We'll start with you. Go to Tails and Dave, and we'll head out.
Perfect.
Just thank you very much, everyone, and appreciate everyone. You know, there's the whole ecosystem, and hopefully we can grow more things on PulseChain. The more we have on PulseChain, the better it is. You know, the more things that we can build on PulseChain and attract more people from outside the community. Why not? Let's bring them on. Let's try to, you know, get more people to bridge over and buy PulseChain and do something with their PulseChain token. You know, and there's HEX and Inc as well, and PulseX. So there's a lot of things that might be coming in the future. Hopefully we can see more devs building more things and making PulseChain, the whole PulseChain ecosystem great. And thank you very much. Nice to meet you, Charles, as well. Hopefully I'll follow you on Twitter. Was it Twitter that you're mainly on?
On YouTube and Twitter, yeah.
Yeah.
Twitter's,
I got Tails' YouTube link in the chat, and Twitter is it Tails? What's your handle on Twitter, Tails?
Tails Crypto 369.
Tails is Crypto 369. I knew there's 369 in there. Awesome. Tails, what do you got for us to take us out?
Well, one thing I've been looking at lately is a lot of people are fading T-shares. That the T-share rate is pretty close to flying past 40,000, and it's projected around June 45,000 hex per T-share. And I think that's going to be an interesting dynamic looking in the bull run. And I want to make sure I'm staked for any emergency end stakes or anything we might witness. So I'm just doubling down on, you know, since if you already have a ladder made, what I kind of do is I just take my dollar cost average and I'll take a percentage and I'll throw it up 555 every quarter and leave a little bit liquid. But
you remind me of Hexfire a lot. I like he loves the staking and the 555 as well, and even lesser ones on the ladder.
Yeah, we're gonna find out this year. So I mean, let's see. I mean, a lot of people that faded HEX or are fading HEX. You know, if the price starts running away and the T-share rate jumps, you know, like it's going to cost a lot more HEX for you to, you know, get T-shares. So I mean, if you already have your ladder, I mean, you could do a lot more, but you could be flexible. But I like staking, so I continue to do it, even though I don't buy as much as I used to, but I still contribute to the 555s.
Extremely underrated these days, for sure. And hey, we went through a brutal bear market, so there's a lot of reasons to be up and down on these things. But don't forget, it's there's so much. You have all the information, everyone. You can learn. Dave, you want to take us out on?
I just want to say thank you very much for what you do for PulseChain. You know, it's not just, you know, one token. You know, we are a community, and we want to give everybody options. You know, Up token was our sacrifice was, hey, you have the freedom to do whatever the hell you want with your money. That's what our sac was. So, you know, and if you want, you know, simple buy hold token that you don't have to do anything, and you just know that the team's out there just grinding, trying to make those tokens go higher, welcome to Up and Up X. Yeah, we do have LPX, which is coming out. You're going to want to probably jump in our Telegram room and learn a little bit about LPX, because it's dark liquidity pools. And if you haven't heard that term yet, you're going to want to come over and see what's going on with LPX. But yeah, Up and Up X tokens. We're trying to make PulseChain a better community, you know, give all the well tools to the little people.
Awesome. All right, gents.
All right,
Chat, you're awesome today as well. Yeah, of course. Appreciate you all building on PulseChain. Tails, welcome. I want to say welcome. You've been around for a while, but welcome to content creation. Glad, honored to have you on for your first live stream to join us here too. And hopefully it won't be the last.
Appreciate the invite.
Of course. Yep. Everyone, that's all we got for you today. Scivive and 5555. We are out.
Have a good one.